Hey guys, welcome to this free webinar put on by SJC Marketing. Before we get started, let me introduce SJC a little bit and myself. I am Nevin Rosner. I'm an account executive here at SJC. SJC is a full-service marketing firm based out of St. Joseph, Missouri, with offices in the Kansas City metro area as well. And we are pumped to be able to deliver this webinar to you today. I promise we're not going to take up a lot of your time, so we'll get straight to the point. As you saw in some of these previous videos, what we're talking about today is leveraging Facebook ads as a way for you to connect with potential clients in your marketplace. This is critical. This is one of the most effective platforms that you can use to connect with potential clients in your area. So I wanted to make sure that we give you the opportunity to see this training, but then also as we go through this, keep in mind that this is what we do on a day-to-day basis here at SJC. So as we get through this webinar, if you feel like this is something that you need to implement for your firm, but you need the right partner to help you out, please feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll have all my information readily available to you at the end of this webinar. But absolutely, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be more than willing to have a conversation with you. So let's get started. Let's get right into it. Facebook ads. You've probably seen them numerous times as you're scrolling through your Facebook feed. You'll see a section that says sponsored, and it's somebody pitching a particular service or a product, and they're paying to basically be on your news feed. Please do not have the misconception that this is going to cost you some crazy amount of money in order to put Facebook ads on there. Really, it's to whatever budget that you have particularly. We'd be able to work with you to put together a strategy that makes sense for your budget. But I want to take some time to walk through 6 steps, starting with the Facebook ad and ending with a prospect call. So how do we get from the ad to the call? Let's get started. So the first thing we want to talk about is the Facebook ad itself. FA, Facebook ad. What does that mean? There's 2 pieces of this ad that we're going to have to focus on today. The first thing is the targeting of the ad itself. So you have a general idea of who your ideal client is. And maybe it's kind of like the industry average where maybe 10% of your clients make up 80% of your assets under management. That could be the case for your firm, maybe not. We'll leave that up to choice. But what I'm trying to get at is you know what your ideal client looks like, correct? With Facebook ads, you're able to use a lot of that targeting to drive down into a key audience for your ad itself. So the first thing to do with a Facebook ad, targeting. It's gonna talk about income levels, geographic location, interests, things of that nature. You'll be able to really hone in on a particular audience. The second piece of the Facebook ad is going to be the content itself. You want to give a little bit of a loss leader. So you want to advertise some sort of free content that you're going to give away that people might be particularly interested in hearing. An example of this might be the top 10 ways to know if you're on track to retire. Or maybe it's, the top 3 perks of compounding interest. Things like that. Giving away those sort of nuggets. That could be the content of your particular ad to drive people to click into it and then move on to the next step. The next step, LP, landing page. What is a landing page? It's simply a website page that people can land on in order to put in their information to then gain access to whatever value, whatever content that you're going to be giving to them for free. So on that landing page, we're looking for a few things. Email address, phone number, whatever other contact information you might need from that particular web visitor. On that landing page also, you might want to be able to include some content around what is it that you're giving away for free and why is it relevant to that particular visitor. That's going to get them interested enough to put in their information and hit the submit button. So then what happens after that? A value video. What do I mean? This is going to give you the opportunity to spend some time diving into what it is you're giving away for free as far as advice. So a value video could be you spending maybe 10 minutes talking about the top 10 ways to know whether you're on track to retire. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a video each and every time. I know that as far as marketing statistics are concerned, video content is really resonating better with audiences versus just written content itself. So maybe video is going to be the avenue that you take, but maybe you build some sort of white paper or quick article that talks about the top 10 things to signify that you're on track to retire. If you're going to do something more written, a white paper per se, when they go on your landing page and they put in their information, you'll be able to send them an email with the promised content. And then that's how they'll be able to access that free content. But if we're doing a value video, that gives you the chance to spend 10 minutes talking on a video about your particular free advice. Once the video is done, we're not done. We want to continue to move them along this process, right? So once the video is done, we're going to want to engage with them and find a way for them to connect with you on maybe a quick 10, 15-minute call to discover whether they're a potential client for you. But before we get to the actual call, there's a few things that you can do in order to make sure that you've qualified that particular lead. So in the next step, we want to access your calendar. Now, there are different pieces of software out there that will integrate with your Outlook or your Gmail calendar, and it's going to give your web visitor an opportunity to just access your calendar right there on the spot. See what times are available where you can meet with them. It saves the hassle of you trying to reach out, playing phone tag, email tag, whatever, with a new prospect of yours. This way, they can have access to your calendar, get the meeting on the schedule, you're ready to go. But the next step after that, before we get to the call, is we really do want to qualify this particular lead. So how are we going to do that? We want to put them through a survey. So on that same page where they're going through and they're putting in which time, on what date they want to meet, you also want to include step 2. So once they select their date, they select their time, they'll hit maybe a next button and they'll go to a survey section. You're going to have the chance to ask them several questions that qualify them as a potential client for you. Again, we want to make sure that this funnel is delivering very targeted, very qualified prospects before you even get on the phone with them. So you're going to ask questions like, what is your net worth? What are your financial goals? Have you ever worked with a financial advisor before? Questions similar to that. That's going to give you a better idea of whether that's going to be an ideal prospect for your firm. So once they've answered those questions, once they've captured the date that they're able to meet with you, then they can hit submit. All that information comes back to you as the wealth advisor, and then you get to determine what that next step looks like. Is it a quick email or phone call to say, hey, I appreciate you reaching out. This probably isn't going to be, the best fit, but I have some recommendations for other advisors that you could talk to. That could be the next step. But maybe it's one of those situations where you've obviously recognized, hey, this is a very qualified, an awesome potential client for us to speak with. The next phase in this process then is to show up on that call that they've scheduled through that ad funnel and have a conversation with them. So that's our final step, is the call itself. And here's the big question. What does that call look like? Well, you as a wealth advisor, you know your product, you know your service, you know exactly why people should be selecting you as their wealth advisor. But we want to spend some time really defining current situations for those particular prospects. So while you're on the call, you want to be able to find out what is their current situation and what does their ideal situation look like. Now there's obviously a gap in the middle of here, and that's going to be your opportunity to fill that prospect in on why your offering is going to be the best option to get them to their ideal situation. You've already qualified them through the questions that you've asked before. You know your product offering, you know your service. This is your chance to shine and to be able to close that particular client or particular prospect and make them a new client of yours. So as we walk through this process, you can tell there are several different steps through here. And again, I want to make sure that we're spending our time wisely. I don't want to take up too much of your time on this webinar, but you can see that there's a lot of steps in this process. You may be thinking to yourself, hey, this clearly is an opportunity for me to leverage social media as a way to generate new prospects, qualified prospects for my firm. But you may be thinking to yourself as well, I just don't have the time to do this, to build this out for my firm and to make sure it's done effectively so that you're not wasting money or you're not wasting opportunities to meet with new potential prospects. Well, I'm here to tell you that SJC Marketing is more than willing to partner with you to make sure that this is executed well. As far as Facebook ads are concerned, we have a content team here at SJC that all they're doing is writing engaging content, quality content for both social media platforms as well as blogs, website content, things of that nature. We move on to landing pages. We have a web developer here on staff who could easily put together an awesome landing page for you to host your value videos that are engaging with your current prospects. We get through the rest of this, and as it relates to scheduling and coming up with surveys, we can help you determine the questions that you need to ask in order to qualify those leads before you jump on the phone with them. But what I'm here to tell you is that we can certainly partner together to make sure that this process, first of all, that you're doing it for your firm, but second of all, that it's being done effectively and in the appropriate manner, and that you've got quality content in every single one of these steps, so that when you get down to this conversation of dealing with current situations and how to get to their ideal situation, that's where you're shining as a wealth advisor. We want you to be able to do your job, be able to partner with you as a marketing firm to help you execute this Facebook ad funnel. So, with that being said, thank you so much for being a part of this quick webinar about Facebook ad funnels. And I encourage you, I'll have our video guy put my email address and my phone number down below on this video or on this page somewhere. And I encourage you to reach out to me. Let me know that you're interested in this. Let me know what questions you have about this particular process. And I would love to connect you with the different people that might be involved in this process to talk about how we could do it effectively for you in your wealth advisory firm. So please reach out to me down below. Thank you so much again for joining this webinar, and I hope to hear from you very soon.